So, welcome to the MindPrime podcast. And today's episode is so important. It's all about connection. And in the last few years, especially with COVID, we've all felt disconnected. And we feel like we're connected because we're connected in so many ways through social media, through Facebook, through LinkedIn. And we actually live in an era now of disconnect. So it's a privilege today to have Chris on. Chris is an amazing human who's bringing humanity together. And it's a privilege to have you on, Chris. Thank you so much for coming.
No, thank you. I'm just so humbled and honored to be here again, Louise, in this space and place that we call life in and of itself, because the greatest present of all, in and of itself, is that life in and of itself. Because without life, there's no present moment. So we got to take that present for what it is.
Oh, I love that. So, Chris, couldn't wait to have you on because I had so many questions for you. So I'd really love to know, and I want the listeners to know really, about really how your journey unfolded from before bringing humanity together to up to today.
Yeah. Going back to the start. Let's go way back
Yeah.
in I guess, the DeLorean and go back 88 miles an hour to go back to the very beginning. Again, I'm not Marty McFly, but I play one when I'm on TV when I sleep at a Hotel 6, but that's a different story.
Okay.
Uh, but it really starts back again, literally over 15 plus years ago. But even before that, there's literally this story of me, and I'll share that with you with your audience, and I'll send you that story so
You
everyone
can
can
share it
read
in the
it
links at the
and
end.
everything. I'll do that. I'll do that too as well. But it came to me, Louise, when people, whether to be a teacher, whether to be my own family, whether to be the people that I'm associating with at school or work or whatever that I may have been, in one way, shape, matter, or form, they've always told me no. Know this, know that. You can't do this. You can't do that. You're not worthy enough. Whatever they say, they just throw everything out there. Literally, they throw it out the kitchen sink too as well.
Yep.
But when I was told that I was quote unquote with three disabilities, so to speak, I was told that I would never ever be able to speak again because I had a speech impediment far worse than Mel Tillis.
Wow.
And,
You would never
and I
think
was
that
told,
because you don't sound like any speech impediment at all.
I know it's just something that I've just really learned how to do, and I'll give you a little
Amazing.
backstory on that here in a second. But when I was diagnosed with these quote unquote disabilities, which I don't
Mhm.
look to them as disabilities, I truly
Ability.
look at them as gifts and abilities in and of themselves.
Yeah.
So
Love that.
when we recognize the gifts that have been given to us and saying, hey, I don't have a speech impediment, I don't have a mental disability or a learning disability, because those are the two things that I was labeled with
Yes.
in and of itself. And I said to myself when I got to the age of discernment, because I had to really ask myself who I really was. And
Mm.
it really came to me that I really saw these as what they truly are now in my life. Is they are gifts. If it wasn't for those things happening for me, not to me, that's totally different dynamic in and of itself,
Yes.
then I wouldn't have had the people and the events that take place in those present moments to create me in the way that who I am today. Because again, I'll give you a little bit of backstory of the speech impediment kind of dynamic. I had it was actually in my story when I share it with you, and so your listeners can actually read it too as well. There is a lady named Patty Harville who literally changed my life forever. She was not only my psychologist, first and foremost, but she turned into my teacher when I had to go to school. Kid you not, it was just like a gift from God, call it what you will. But after I had done those sessions with her, not only from a psychologist and speech therapist kind of dynamic, but when I was done with those sessions, she said to me this very thing each and every single time. She said, Chris, if you want to be seen and heard for who you really are, see the words, be the words, and let the words flow right through you. And after
Mhm.
every time she said that, I didn't kind of grasp it at that time because I was like 7 or 8 years old, so I really didn't know and everything like that. But over time, that compounded in my mind until I really found out why she said it was and the way she did it. But then when I went into the go into school and everything like that, not only was she my teacher in third grade and fourth grade and fifth grade and sixth
Wow.
grade. I mean, she literally, I kid you not,
She's following
every
you.
school I went to, she for some odd rhyme or reason, she popped up. She was there.
It's like a guardian angel.
It is. She really was. But then she kind of saw the potential in me to such a degree. She even went to my family many times. She said, Chris has truly got gifts. Embrace them, exalt that, highlight that at every turn that you can. Yes, parenting is a big thing to a lot of us, and the way we parent may not be the exact same way in the way we should probably do it. But that's another conversation for another time. But I just recognize the parents that I have been given only probably knew what they knew at the time that they were doing the things with me on that great journey of parenting.
Yeah.
And I just take it for what it is. I'm not going to fault them for what they didn't do, or I won't say no for what they did do. I just take it everything with a grain of
And
salt.
that is a very big mind shift because that is something I did as well. At one point, I realized as well that it people do the best with what they know.
Right?
And sometimes we can hold on to that, like, and feel anger almost to them for not being the best, but they didn't know either. So that was a very big shift. So I love hearing that, Chris.
Exactly. And that's why I really got so, like I said, at that age of discernment, Louise, when I was probably 18, 19 years old, and I really, really dug into finding out what will be my next steps in life because here I was, kid you not, with only $3,000 to my name because thank the Lord I had a grandmother who loved me enough. She's like, Chris, I'm going to start sending you savings bonds. So she literally every year, without fail, for about 7 to 8 years, she would be sending me these savings bonds.
Oh,
That's like $25. She's like, Chris, put these into the bank, start buying them every once in a while. They're going to help you out. And when I pulled them out, when I was able to move out of my parents' place, I had 3,000 in my hand, had my first apartment by myself, and was literally, and I kid you not, because the way I actually graduated high school, I was old enough to be out on my own, but yet I wasn't young enough to do all the other things that I would do in school, like sports and all those kind of things. So literally in my senior year of high school, I was literally working, didn't have to go to a single day of high school, and working for a living, and still graduated with a 3.5 GPA and everything. So that was a real
incredible.
thing. Go ahead.
That's incredible that you
Yeah, it
managed to
is. It
do
is.
that.
And then, like I said, I still graduated with a 3.5 GPA. And then, like I said, after I graduated, I was still working full time. So I was doing a lot of those things. But then I'm sure you would want to know how I actually took on life even at that time.
Yeah.
And for me, Louise, at that time, I was in the complete reverse than what I am today. Back then I was always into myself. I was so selfish for myself. I couldn't care less about any one person on this planet. I was only out for me because I remember what my father taught me at a very young age. He said, Chris, for you to really be successful in life itself, sometimes you just got to keep your head down. Don't ask any questions. Just shut up and just do your job. And for most people, people can do that. I understand that, recognize that. Sometimes that's just a way how people can see themselves in that very dynamic.
Yeah.
But then when you step outside of that to such an extent, in and of itself, then that's when you have again those aha moments to such a degree, Louise, that you can be able to say, you know what? I'm not that very person that you told me that I should be, because again, that's
Mhm.
your perception of me, not the
I love
reality.
that. I
And
think, sorry to interrupt. I believe that it's a lot of the time it's who you've been brought up with. It programs your beliefs into you, and you have these expectations. And because mine was that you had to work hard for other people, and I always believed that you have to work harder and work harder. So I love how you're sharing that with us because it's so great to be able to notice that where it came from, and then
exactly,
yeah.
exactly. And see, when I had that shift in that very moment in time, I was still on the fence of should I be working with people or for people.
Mm,
And that's the kind of dichotomy that I had to fight with. And I had to fight that for a great number of years. But then when I had that epiphany moment, Louise, is when I really went back to that very question yet again. I asked myself, should I be working with people or for people? That's when it dawned on me. Working with people is completely different than working for, because when you
yeah.
work for others, you help others get what they want and maybe not necessarily what you want, but that's still not necessarily mean to say that they wouldn't help you in one way, shape, matter, or form. But when you work with people
Hmm.
and you invest in them and they invest in you, and I've said this many times and I'll say it again to your audience today, the best investment is the human investment, because still to this very day, Louise, we can't put a price tag on that, because we've heard from the status quo mindset that we can't put a price on life. Absolutely, 110%, full
No.
stop. Understand that. But you know what we can't put a price on too as well? Someone's worth, somebody's work, somebody's blood, sweat, and tears, who goes in early, stays late. And those little things that add up over time from a compound interest kind of dynamic, because they are willing to do what needs to be done.
Hmm.
But then again, if we don't appreciate that, people are just going to say, hey, I'm only going to be here just long enough to not only do I not get fired, but I still hold on to the very thing that's actually beholding me to stay here, which is probably the very money. So
Yeah.
when you put that in context to how much value you bestow upon people, because by very nature, we already have value. It's already there. It's already
Hmm.
an integral part of our life. So when we see that value for what it truly is, and recognize it's not about the money that we give them, it's about that investment we do with people, the things that are so tangible to life that, again, we all want to be seen, we all want to be heard, we all want to be appreciated. And then once we really dive into that and bring that balance up to the scale of, hey, is it about money or
Yeah.
is it about the very value of people? How do you
Hmm.
balance that out? And I truly believe you can balance that out when you value not only the people, but your focus is not on the money, but your
Yeah.
focus is on the people in and of itself.
So you know this about me, Chris, that I very much live in that mindset of being a service to others. I believe
Mm-hmm.
truly that if you serve, you will get back. So I really believe in this as well, which is why when I first met you on the chats previous to this, I loved your bringing humanity together. And I have like so many things I do. Even today, I have a sticky note going on. And today's sticky note that I made was, have I been kind today?
Nice.
Yes, because sometimes we have to remind ourselves to be of service to others because we are all human. And I think this is what we forget. We're thinking, what we out to get? What can that person do for me? And I have always made the biggest success and the biggest amount of money when I haven't looked at it like that. When I've looked at it
Right.
as just serving others from the kindness of your heart will always do more for you because people will always remember how you make them feel as well.
Exactly.
So even when I'm in networking or just meeting someone in general, I do that. Just make people feel nice. It kind of doesn't cost anything, but
Correct.
you can gain everything from it.
Exactly. And it's also when you really think about it, that, and I've said many times when you've been on our Bringing Humanity Together events,
Yeah.
it's about recognizing that the best expectation to have, Louise, is to not even have one at all. And here's why.
Yes.
The more that you give, the more that you will receive. And again, I have to bring John C. Maxwell into this because he says it so clearly in his great book, The 21 Wonderful Laws of Leadership,
Yeah.
that there are three people that we have to deal with, whether to be in business or more importantly in life itself. There's the givers, The people who will just give unconditionally, they will
Yep.
do that. And that's just, again, who they are. The takers, the people who will take all day long because that's just the way that they are. So you can't really change that. Well, you probably could, but there's a way that you can be able to do that, though.
Yep.
But then there's also those people who will give as much as they not only give, but as much as they can take.
Hmm.
So that's the balance kind of people that you really want to surround yourself with, because they just know what really works and sometimes what really doesn't work, not only in their lives, but maybe in the lives of others, when they actually see what is there versus what it's not.
Yep.
So when you kind of recognize that you're dealing with three different kinds of people in your life, you got to understand, well, how am I going to be of service to people who not even may not even be in alignment with me or may not even be in agreement with me, but how can I still be in that place and space with them? And the best way you start by doing that is, again, by just showing up in and of itself, and just start it from there.
Yep. I truly believe in that. And you know what I find really interesting is right now, online and in companies, they're broadcasting it now. They're saying, add value, add value. And really, the add value is to just give more
Yeah,
than you receive. And they've even done like scientific studies on it that when you give, you do get back. So it's
right.
incredible. My favorite book is like Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich.
Yes,
You read it? And one chapter in that is so much about serving others. And if anyone listening could just change, if they haven't been making money in their business, I would recommend that they change this and just be in it just for the sake of being human. What would you say,
right.
Chris? Would you say any advice to someone who's in business now, struggling?
The best way that you can capture someone's attention in any given moment in time, whether it be in business or not, is these three keywords, again, from John C. Maxwell: listen, learn, and lead. I
Listen,
truly
learn,
believe
and read.
lead.
Lead.
Yeah, listen, learn, and lead.
Listen, learn,
Because
and read.
I truly believe, Louise, if we can all become better listeners, then we can all become better learners, and then we can all become better leaders, not only at home, but literally at work in and of itself. And the reason why I say that is because, again, we don't look to people as maybe human beings first and foremost.
Yes.
We look to them as maybe a means to an end, or name or number,
Yeah.
or
Or
the
competition, even.
uh-huh, absolutely. But then again, when we change our minds and we shift our mind from what we've been told that what we have been doing for eons, oh, this is what this company has done for over 100 years.
Yes.
That's 100 years ago.
Yes.
That's not today, and everything like that. So for us to have the wherewithal and really be willing to take that first step into a much larger world, is maybe recognize the way we start that is, again, number one, like I said, just show up. If you can just be willing to show up, then that's where it all starts. But then number two, be willing not only to listen and to learn, but also maybe choose a little curiosity. And here's why I say that.
Ooh, I love
If,
that.
yeah, because if you can choose curiosity over class, Louise, every day in every way, whether you're a leadership position or not, then that will go a long way. Because again, if you reach out with your very humanity every day in every way, and you say, "Hey, Louise, how did your kids' soccer practice went yesterday?" "Oh,
Yeah.
it went well. It was really nice. Loved it. He scored 2 practice goals. It was really gung ho for him. He just loved it." But that's how we really can connect with people on a deep and meaningful human level. Because I understand people's always about probably the processes, the deadlines, and all those kind of things. And that's what even John C. Maxwell says in that same book that I just shared with you just a little bit ago, about the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership, that
Yeah.
the greatest myth out there, Louise, is we equate leadership and management to be one and the same, but literally in reality, they're two polar opposites. Now, mind you, I do know that there are people out there who's going to say, "Hey, Chris,
Yeah.
they actually are one and the same." You're right to a degree, absolutely, 100%. But then the question that we got to ask each and every single one of you that brings that to the table is, why do you believe that they are one and the same? Why are they literally rooted in that one kind of dynamic. For me, at least, they can be one and the same. And here's why I'm getting ready to take it to this next level. Is because leadership is not about you, it's about others, first and foremost, full stop.
Yes.
When you put it in that context, it changes the whole dynamic, not only of leadership, but way management is looked upon moving forward in business today. Secondarily, on top of that, it's then when we recognize that leadership is about creating more leaders and creating more incentives and creating more environments for everyone to grow and thrive in, then next thing you know, not only they create more leaders in context, but they also create more followers in context. But managers, what are they really known for to do? They're always about, again, the workflows, the
Yeah.
process, the
The
end
managing
results,
really,
and
isn't
all
it?
those kind of things. In
Hmm.
which I do understand that there's a reason behind that, and I get that.
Yeah.
But I truly believe, Louise, we shouldn't have to be beholden to that.
No.
Maybe there is another way. Maybe there's another journey that we can undertake together to create everyone's achievement in life or
Mhm.
achievement in business or both. Because again, what's the acronym of team stand for? Together, everybody
Yeah.
achieves more.
I think it's very much like schooling, if you think about
Mm-hmm.
it. You have the school and the system about how everybody has to learn. Yet I think if companies, much like schools should, is look at different ways of doing things and staying curious, it's so important. But we will need leaders that we can follow and
Mm-hmm.
that will follow us with compassion, with humanity. Whereas this
Right.
is why I think you're right with the management and the leaders. I believe you are right. I think that they are separate. Um, but we also need to know how to be a good follower sometimes. We need to be able to follow
Exactly.
and lead, which is, I think, is most overlooked.
Absolutely. I agree with you. And I even articulate it in this kind of very quote. And I want all your uh,
Yeah.
audience and listeners to really pick up on this. And the
Yeah.
way I do it is, of course, a place from simplicity. Because I truly believe, Louise, that leaders can't be leaders if they can't follow.
Yeah.
Followers can't be followers if they can't lead. So it's right there in front of us in that very quote. So when we recognize it in that kind of way, then for us to really know that we can be a leader not only of tomorrow, but also be a leader today, we got to recognize how can we follow? Because again, I recognize this too as well, Louise.
Yeah.
I recognize that number one, I should never, no matter in any point in time in my life or even in business, should be the smartest person in the room. I should
Never.
not. And here's why. Because
Hmm.
if you're thinking that you're the smartest person in the room, then you're in the wrong room in
Yeah.
the story. Because then again, you're going to say, I know more than you because I have 10 PhDs and you don't. Or I have 5 bachelors and I have this in a certification and I have this. And you go through the long litany of the stuff you accomplished. Now, I'm not negating what that's been done for people around the world. I get that. That's something to them to get more knowledge, more insight, and I understand that. But when you use that as a prism from a place of a hierarchy kind of structure that you're above them. No, you're
Yes.
not,
I love that. I think my auntie had a saying that I always follow, and it says, "No one is bigger above me, and I'm bigger than no one." You know,
right?
I think a lot of time in corporate, there's an ego centric going on with the leaders, and but people who are following the leaders also they think that it's shameful. But you have to know that sometimes it's okay to follow the leaders. Like Jesus had 12 disciples. They knew to follow him too. So if your leader inspires you, you will follow. And there's no
Well, not
shame in
only
being a
that,
follower either.
yeah, and not only that though, there's a great video, and I'll share it with you later so your audience can take a look at it that encapsulates what you're just talking about in less than 3 minutes. It comes from Derek Sievers. The very title of the video is "How to Start a Movement." And what it's about this guy who starts this dance in the middle of a field, no less, at a music festival, no less. So he goes out, the shirtless dancing guy
Like a
goes all
TikTok.
wild and crazy, but yet he starts something very, very, maybe at the time small in scope, but turns big in scope because you know why?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, he may have started it all. He may get all the credit, but it was that second and that third and that fourth and that fifth
It's
person
the
to say,
followers that
"Hey,
made
come
it.
on in. The
Hmm.
party's hopping. Let's get this thing jumping."
Yeah.
And then next thing you know, so the people who are sitting on the literally on the hill in and of itself, on no less, says,
Hmm.
"Wait a minute, we're here at this music festival to have fun. I'm not missing out on the fun. I got to go over there and have the fun
Yeah.
and everything like that." And that's a real thing. But then again, what Derek Severs did even say in that very video that your audience should pick up on is that he says that leadership is over glorified to a large degree, which I get that.
Hmm.
But I don't believe it's over glorified by any stretch of the imagination. Here's why. When you see leadership for what it truly can become from a place of a transaction kind of dynamic, and I truly believe a lot of leaders miss out on this, is because they always are relegating themselves to that very transaction. Or like you said, ego. Ego
Hmm.
gets in the way,
Yeah.
then it keeps us from not being the full potential person that we can truly become, or even leader. But then again, he even says too as well, is he even said, if you can learn how to follow and teach others how to follow, that's how a movement can really make it happen.
Yes.
Because then again, the followers will embrace those other people who want to be following
Yes. It's
and
I
everything like
think
that.
it reminds me, sorry, of like Martin Luther King.
Mm-hmm.
He had the ginormous dream. And if he didn't have the followers, if no one jumped in for his dance, what
Mm-hmm.
would we have now? So
Yeah.
it's important to know.
Exactly. But see, the big question that's probably before us, Louise, and I want your audience to really think about this,
Hmm.
and then for everyone going to be watching this on video too as well.
Yeah.
Think about this for a second, ladies and gentlemen. If we have a part to play, whether it be in business and life, the question then becomes, what is our part? What does that
Mm.
look like?
Love that.
How do we play that part and play that part very well? For a lot of us, ladies and gentlemen, we have been doing it from a place of projection and perception from the place of others. And here's why I'm saying that. It's because for a lot of years, we've been told, whether to be our family, whether to be our colleagues at work or whatever, hey, you're not working hard as I am. Well, why is that? Because I'm working hard. And I said this on a LinkedIn audio call not too long ago, Louise. And I said, what we have done is project that kind of to the world, that I'm working harder than Bob because I want to look bigger and better than Bob is, because my
Mhm.
work is more important to his work. So I say I have to work hard. Ladies and gentlemen, I stand before you today. It's not about the hardness of work. I'm not negating what work you put into everything that you do each and every single day. But what we do literally in and of itself, from a place of simplicity, not only in business, but also in life, it's the level of work that we do. That's all it is. We don't work harder or lesser than anyone else. It's about the level of work we put in.
Mhm.
And we have used that as a leveraging kind of dynamic to make other people look bad.
And
And I've
to
seen that.
improve our self-worth, our worth as well.
Yeah. And we have used that to such an extent to get people to either be afraid of the leaders that create that space and place for them, or make them feel like they're not even worthy to do the work that they're doing. They
Mhm.
feel like that when they go home, they literally, I kid you not, they have to check their humanity at home when they get back home and say, "Oh my God,
Calm down.
I'm
Yeah.
out of that," and everything
Yeah.
like that. But then again, when you really think about it, Luis, we are kind of asking them when they come back to work with us, not for us, but come back with us. We can change that around and say, we want to embrace you for who you are, but not, that's not what's been done for a great number of years. When we go to those workplaces and we're working for those other people, we get into a place and space that we have to put that mask on. We feel like that we're not worthy enough. We have to check our humanity at the door. We've become the very robot that we swore that we would never become. And
Mhm.
it comes on to those other litany of things. And then we're not productive on that day-to-day basis, because then again, Why would you want to do something for someone that you don't love doing first and foremost? Because if
Yeah.
you don't love doing it, then it always will be work first and foremost to you in every aspect of that work.
Hmm.
Because if you don't take joy in it and maybe you have a little pride in that, and I'm not saying pride is a bad thing, but I'm saying sometimes pride is a good thing too as
Yeah.
well. But when you look at that in that kind of context, then you can be able to say, wait a minute, I'm really working well here at this company because Louise is always showing up in a place of humbleness and with her very humanity. She's not expecting me to do more than what I could not necessarily do, not only myself, but knowing what she can only do too as well. She puts herself right alongside me. She's no better and worse than me. And
Yes.
by creating that kind of environment, it speaks volumes to your very character.
I believe that leaders should, a lot of the time, I remember when I worked in corporate, is like, you hate going to work because you didn't feel passionate about it because it was, you had to compete with the managers, and the word manager can trigger so many people. So people who come to work with me who are burnt out and stressed, their main thing that they say so much is their managers and their bosses and their leaders, and they're constantly trying to prove themselves, or they get talking down to, and it can cause so much stress in the body and in
Mm-hmm.
their mental health, because mental health is getting so bad in these companies. And I'm so happy to see a lot of movements going on at the moment with leadership and a lot of investing in mental health. But what's your take on the mental health in leadership?
That's a big thing. And when you really think about it, mental health is just health in and of itself.
Yeah.
It's a component of our overall health because of that, not in spite of it. And mental health is a big thing. And the reason why it is a big thing is because that what ends up happening, especially in our workplaces today, is we lead with ego, or we lead with anger, we lead with position, or we lead with that authority, and we literally, I kid you not, Louise, give people a sense of fear or
Yeah.
sense of angst or whatever that might be. And that is real for a lot. And that's not a perception kind of thing.
No,
That's
the
a
fear is real.
it's a real thing. It is. And for us not even to recognize uh those very things in people in and of itself, what's going to end up happening is they will lose touch of, number one, why are they there?
Yes.
If they don't even know their why, is like, why am I here at ABC Plumbing
Yep.
from where I was 5 years ago? If where I was 5 years ago, I won't say it won't be exactly the same, but if that why is still not as strong as it was 5 years ago, you got to kind of ask yourself, why am I here? Why
I
am I
love that
letting
question. Every few years, you say, why am I here? Am I happy?
Right, exactly. And see that why is a big thing. And I'll also bring this into the conversation, and I'll send this
Yeah.
LinkedIn post to you too as well, and for your listeners and audience to get into it. And it's from Victoria Repa
Mm.
uh on LinkedIn, and that's one of the LinkedIn audios that we had is about appreciation. But she even says in this, especially when you think about this in a place of mental health too as well, think
Hmm.
about this. The ultimate productivity hack is make people feel genuinely appreciated, and do it from a place of recognition of their work, be a leader who values their contributions,
Yeah.
and a culture that celebrates the wins, big or small. And that
Yeah.
will go a long way into everyone's mental health. Because again, if you feel like you're needed and you're wanted and you're valued,
Yes.
that becomes a tangible versus an intangible.
Mm. Do you know what I love about that is it's about belonging, you know,
Mm-hmm.
to make people feel like they belong, even in the little tasks they do. And it's quite weird that I'm thinking about this now, but it's even like with the family, with the kids and things, we do stuff like that. We appreciate them throughout, not just when they do the big things, but appreciate them when they do the small things so that they will complete the big things. It's interesting. I
It,
love
it,
what
it
you
it
said.
is. It is. Well, but see, again, belonging is a big thing because think about it. Belonging is in concert with connection.
Yes, this is
And
my thing to you. Sorry, I was going to ask you about your belonging because growing up, I know that I felt not belonging at all, and
yeah,
it affected me for so many years, especially through childhood, and to self-worth. And then if you're not belonging the whole time, you're looking for something outside of yourself to belong. And um, this is why I love what you're doing with the humanity together because we all need to feel, it's a basic human need to feel belonging. And it doesn't mean that you have to belong in your family. You can create your own belonging. You can be in
oh
something
yeah,
that brings you belonging. Like if you don't have great family or great friends, make them. If you don't have a great community, like join bringing humanity together and
hmm
bring this to yourself. So I'd love to hear about what your thoughts are on belonging. Sorry for interrupting.
like I said, belonging is interconnected dynamic to connection, and here's why. When we are, like you said, seen, valued, and heard, and that's a
Mm,
tangible to us versus an intangible, then we don't have to be. And I've seen this play out far too many times that I can possibly fathom the count. But when we look at people at work today, and you've probably seen this play out to yourself, Louise, is you could belong to an organization, but are you truly there?
yes.
That's question number one.
Mm,
Because you can be, again, it's like what my father taught me at a very young age. You can have a body there,
mm.
or you could have someone there.
Yeah.
That's two different things.
Pair of hands. Oh.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because when you really think about it, you can have bodies all day long in your organization, but if they really are not feeling the love or feeling the warmth and feeling the togetherness of the organization or the very culture that's comprised of that, then they will only be doing just enough, not only to get fired, but not even to be probably seen and heard from management, because if they start being seen and heard from management, they're going to end up saying, well, they're looking at me today. Am I getting the axe today? Am I going to get that pink slip today? Am I
Mm.
going to be yelled at today? What? And see, that creeps into a lot of people's mind. And I'm no different or better than anyone else who's gone through that because
Yeah,
I've gone through
I've
it
done it
myself.
too.
Yeah. And see, that is why if you change the whole dynamic of how that belonging shows up to people, and again, I just tell people, all I ask of you is just be willing to show up first and foremost, and just start there. And again, if the mission statement and the purpose or the vision of any said company on this planet, it may not be in alignment with you or may not even be in agreement with you, understand that and get that. And here's where I'm taking this. Again, if I want people who are going to do great things, I want to do it from a place that it is in alignment with them or in agreement with them, but that's not mutually exclusive because here's why. When you start demanding or setting that expectation that they must do X, X, and X to get X, X outcome, even from being a part of the organization, you're setting up, I won't say for people to fail, but you're
Yeah.
setting up the dynamics in the environment for people to say, wait a minute, again, if I'm here at year one and then coming back fast forward to year five, and if I don't have the same why in year five than I do here at year one, it kind of makes me wonder again, why am I here? Am I just a body or am I somebody?
Ooh, I
Because
love that. Am I a
because
body
think,
or
because think
some?
about it. If I'm just a nobody, I'm always will be relegated to the things I'll only do, not for
Mm,
who I am. So if they know who I am, I will no longer become just a somebody. I will be Bob. I will be Bill. I will be Louise. I
yeah.
will be Chris. And by just of recognizing that, that changes the whole dynamic because again, not only is curiosity contagious,
Hmm.
but so is positivity.
This is
So when you put
incredible.
that into the mix,
Hmm.
changes everything.
Yes, I really believe that as well. There is a thing that I was always thinking when you were speaking, I was thinking of this, that, we can all be a pair of hands, and people, you may not like your job and you may not be passionate about it, but you can change the way you act in the position. You can
Mm-hmm.
change yourself and your positive mental attitude. I know people will say a lot, um, that it's just a lot of people saying, I'm so happy and I am, but it actually changes the way you are perceived. So if you didn't like your job and you're working in a dead-end job, but you gave service, you gave humanity, you gave caring, not just like, let me just finish this work at 5 and I'll clock out as quick as I can. If you came with an attitude of doing more than you're paid for, you will end up being paid more and you will
Exactly.
be noticed.
Exactly. And the way that I actually do that on a day-to-day basis, from a practical standpoint, whether people are going to be paid or even not paid, but I just
Mhm.
again look to their human value first and foremost, is I give them that sense of belonging by just again seeing what they see or even believe and just take it at face value first and foremost and be very curious about that and choose that curiosity over class first and foremost. But then again, I'm going to allow them in that very same context, Louise, to do the very same thing with me. Because again, I'm a firm believer in this. I want to be a leader and more importantly, a human being that would lead by permission rather than position,
Lead by permission.
not by position.
Position. You've got to put that in the comments after when it goes.
Yeah, I
Um,
will.
so I wanted to ask you really about how would people get involved with what you're doing?
The best way you do is just show up.
Yeah.
That's all I ask. Because if you can just show up and you are willing to listen and you're willing to learn and you're willing to be curious, that's all I can ask. And just start it from there. Because again, I truly believe, Louise, conversations not only call us to act, but it does call us to connect, be
Yes.
inspired, be having that awesome opportunity not only to learn, but also grow a little bit each day. Because again, what my father taught me was really, 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 really amazing is when he said, Chris, if you can learn one new thing a day, then you have had a productive day. And then also he said, Chris, you don't need to know everything, but surround yourself with people who know what they do far better than you, and you can learn a little bit about everything.
Yes. I love that. Have variety around you as
Yeah.
well, instead of being so fixed-minded and in your same circle. So I love that. So if someone wanted to be involved in bringing humanity together, they may not understand what it is. Do you want to just quickly explain it for a
Well,
minute?
we're a movement who's literally dedicating our everything to what we can do, not only in business, but more importantly in life itself. And it's literally based on the foundations of our very fiber of our being, in which is leadership, human development, health and wellness, family, community, strengths and values. And it really comes down to these two statements I'm about ready to read to your audience today
Yeah.
is our mission is to reimagine and lead the way in a new global paradigm in business culture, creating person-centered, compassionate, intentionally learning communities focused on the effective support and nurturing of the individuals that comprise their culture and to help unite leaders in the growth of a new vision of leadership as first and foremost one
Right.
of stewardship, and that's the mission. And then the vision of
Mhm.
bringing humanity together is we aim to connect humanity to drive progress in business and other areas, offering meaningful assistance to everyone from small businesses to CEOs. Our values are rooted in the ideas of bringing humanity, highlighting the positive qualities of humanity, and working towards forward motion in business and beyond by using it as a tool for humble service.
Humble service. I love that bit. And my favorite part was, well, not of that, but is your tag, like your quote underneath, bringing humanity together. I absolutely adore that because it says exactly what it is.
I help you, you help
You
me,
help
we
me,
help
we
we.
help we. And I really love that. So I did want to ask you, what if you were on your deathbed, Chris? Hopefully not for a long time, 100 years, and you has had the greatest life, what would you like to leave behind in the world?
One built not only on impact, but one built on legacy. And here's why I say it,
Yeah.
because I truly believe impact is really connected to legacy. And here's why.
Mm.
When we take the time with people to not only invest in them and they invest in us, and we see what they see and we allow them to see what we see, or even believe from both sides of the table, it could really move mountains and move humanity forward like no other time in human history. Because again, it's sometimes the very small things that we do can have the biggest impacts in our lives that didn't have to even cost money at all. Granted, people have been buying Starbucks coffee like nobody's business.
That's
I
me,
mean,
by the
everyone
way.
does it. Yeah, everyone does it. Hey, I'll pay someone in the back, and they start that chain. You'll see it everywhere.
Yep.
Paying it forward, paying it backward, paying it everywhere. I love that. But then again, those small things that we do add up over time. Because see, this is what my big thing is, and I'll still keep saying it to the high hills, is I want this to be about others to such a degree that what I do, let's say with you, Louise, or Janelle, or Keith, or whoever that might be,
Hmm.
that they can be able to look to their kids or grandkids or someone who might be in the grocery store or whatever, and they say, "Hey, I saw your YouTube video on the hologram or whatever 10, 15 years
The
down the
hologram.
line or whatever." And they said, "Hey, I saw you this many years ago. What got you involved with bringing humanity together?" And
Yeah.
I kid you not, Louise, I truly believe what's going to end up happening is from their own unique way, is they're going to say, it all started with a conversation. It just
Conversation with
started with,
Chris.
yeah, it just started with that. And I truly believe that's going to move mountains, create a lot of impact, create a lot of awareness. Because again, not only do we share what we love,
Mm.
we also share what we don't love or even hate. And
Yes.
I want to bring that power of positivity and that power of possibility back into humanity in
Hmm.
such a way that it can capture legacy, vision, momentum, opportunity, thriving, growth, everything in between. And if we just allow it to be, again, going back to the Beatles song, let it be, but also go back to that great song from John Lennon, is what do we dare imagine
Imagine.
humanity to turn into?
Mm. I wish more people would use their imagination to see what kind of movement they could. And where you may feel like you're just one person, but one person has the power to change the world sometimes.
And think about it. The power of one is truly powerful, because you know what that power of one can truly do
Yep.
is impact on other people, to not only call them to act, but they call other people to
Yes.
act. Just like on that very video about how to start a movement, when it
Hmm.
was that second and third and fourth and fifth person to say, the party's hopping, come on in.
I mean,
That creates, again, when you think about it, when like I say, when your audience watches that video and you see that, you see how that's interconnected not only to legacy but also vision,
yes,
because it's so simply understood. And I truly believe when we bring that simplicity back to business,
yes.
again, that's going to be a big thing. Because again, I know there's two kind of people that we have to kind of cater to in business and in life. They're the people who simply surprisingly get it each and every single time. And then those people who are dotting the I's, crossing the T's, got to read the
Mhm.
fine print on everything.
Yeah.
And but see, how do we do that? How do we bring both sides to the table? We bring those, again, like you said earlier about those disciples.
Hmm.
When it comes from a place of Jesus, Jesus created that discipleship from a place of translation. Because think about it, everyone has a different language that they understand and know. So when you think of from a high level kind of thinking kind of dynamic, there
Yep.
are the people who are really up there in scope, and
Mhm.
then those people who are on this level in scope. So how do you bring those into
Yes.
equilibrium? You bring those people who can translate it in a way that not only speaks to the people who simply and surprisingly get it, but
Hmm.
those are people who can take that high level of thinking and still bring it down to a place of simplicity, and then they will surprisingly get it simply, and they can see it for what it is versus what it's not. And they don't have those other things that can be a baggage to them, or and literally a distraction or a wall that comes into their lives, because they can see for what it really is. They can say, well, my gosh, I've been missing the boat for a whole many years and everything like that. And I truly believe when you surround yourself with those people who know what they know far better than you, those are going to be the people who not only be maybe your disciples to a large
Yeah.
degree, but also they're going to be your kind of translators of what you are all about, who you are, what's the mission, what's the vision. And you can do that. And again, I kind of equate it in this way. I don't care how you start the race. I don't care how you finish the race. I don't even care how you show up, but I do care that you show up, because if you
Well,
don't show up for you, then how in the hell that you can be able to show up for somebody else? It's already there. But I just tell people, I just want you to finish this race in the way that works best for you, and
hmm.
you can get, and you can see the opportunities, and you can actually see the things that may be of great significance and impact. But then again, if someone's alongside you that says, hey, Louise, I see you just frozen stiff for a second and you don't know where to go, and I just nudge you and say, hey, Louise, you got this.
Yeah.
And then when you do that in that kind of way and say, hey, you can have this choice here. You can take a left or you can take a right. Now, what you choose to do with it is come upon you to not only honor that choice, but understand if you have to turn right back around and do a pivot, then you can still do that pivot. But then again, it's recognizing what you can do, not what you can't. And
Yeah.
I think for far too long, we've been telling people what they can't do versus what they can actually do.
I love that. Do you know what? It sounds very much like s- to me that we actually need people.
Mm-hmm.
This is, but
Absolutely.
also about what you can't do. I've got a box right near me. I don't think you might not have seen this, but I've got this box, and it says I've got a sticky note on this box, right? And it says "Rest in peace." Oh no, you can't see it because of my fancy stuff.
You're
It
good.
said, yeah, I've got a sticky note, and it says "R.I.P. I can't." And inside it, I've got other sticky notes that I've written all the things I couldn't do, and I put them to bed. I put them to sleep, like rest in peace. Like I can't public speak. I can't do this. I can't do that. I put everything inside the box and closed it and buried it forever. Because we can do so much more. Human potential is so incredible that the scientists don't even know what we're capable of. And what I love about having you on, Chris, is that you bring humanity together so simply. And it sounds so simple, and you wonder why people haven't been doing it forever. And I can see this movement going really far because so much of the world needs to bring back the humanity in it, especially business and especially just human beings, to remember that we are just all one. You
Mm-hmm.
are just as human as I am, and I'm not
Correct.
better than you, and you're not better than me. So before I wanted to go, I wanted to ask you one more thing. Um, if you were going to make a sticky note, Chris, today of this call, what do you think would be on your sticky note?
The sticky note would read today, because I actually been thinking about this lately, and I've said it many times already here, and I'll say it to your audience today, is when hope and faith come knock on your door, are you willing to answer the call?
Love that. You definitely need to put that in a post.
Yeah, I will. I will.
Definitely
Because I
will.
truly believe when that hope and faith does come knock on your door, the question becomes, are you willing to answer that call? Now, mind you, the reason why I say that is there's a caveat to that. Now, everything that we are presented in life is something that we have to do right then and there.
No.
Understand that.
Hmm.
But then again, that doesn't necessarily mean to say that it's lost forever. We don't do it. It can always come back around.
Yeah,
We
the
just
door
gotta
can
have
always open
faith that it
again,
will.
right?
Yeah, yeah. So by just allowing that to be there, then you have that faith that everything happens for a reason, number one. but you again come back to your faith and say, you know what? Life happens for me and not to me because I choose it to be. And when you
Yeah.
have that in your life, it changes everything.
I love that life happens for me, not to
Yeah.
me. I love the door thing, answer the door, because I sometimes think that we can open the door, and even though it might be the wrong door, and we take it anyway, that door may lead to another door, which
Right.
may lead to another door, another wrong door. But then 4 or 5 doors that were wrong that you're going through, they might actually lead you to the most successful door, and they might have been essential. So sometimes answer the door.
Mhm.
Um, Chris, it's been a pleasure really to have you on, and I want everyone to connect with Chris, to join in his calls. He's got some fantastic calls on LinkedIn, audio lives. He's got lives, he's got everything. Get on. All you have to do is turn up. Is
Yep.
take the first step, and you see how amazing he is, and which is why I wanted him on. So, any last words, Chris? Not like final words, but like last words for the show.
Well, here's my final thoughts in this great and engaging conversation. And first and foremost, Louise, I'm just so humbled and honored not only to be in your life today, but you can be in mine. And you are surrounding myself with people like Jordan and Janelle and so many other great, like
Amazing.
Ken and that great interview you had with him a couple weeks back too as well. And I can't wait to have a great and engaging conversation with him. But
Hmm.
you just literally have just taken me for who I am and nothing more, nothing less. And I love that. And I appreciate that. But my final thoughts to everyone today is simply this. If you can just say yes to these things. Say yes to life, say yes to opportunity, say yes to listening, not only to yourself, but maybe listen to others.
Yes.
Say yes to uh, understanding, say yes to empathy, say yes to just letting things be, and maybe even say yes to imagination. Because if you can imagine a better world, you are going to be so better in it. Because again, we have been given the gift of dreaming, and
Hmm.
dreaming is a part of a dynamic of imagination. So, my final thoughts to every one of you today is not only dream big and dream boldly, but also take your dream and maybe have it be seen as an interconnected piece to somebody else's dream, or
Oh yeah.
maybe allow their dream to be interconnected to yours. And then once you see that come into your life, that literally will take you to another place in space that will not only give you a sense of belonging,
Hmm.
but when that hope and faith come knock on your door, that you're willing to answer that call.
Oh, I love that. Imagine
Yep.
Chris Lennon.
Yep.
I love that. Thank you. Thank you so much. I love all your words of wisdom. And share when it in LinkedIn the comments as well. And I'll put all the links underneath anyway to people connect with you and connect with Chris. He is amazing. It's been a pleasure to speak to you again. And I'll speak to you very, very soon anyway. All
Absolutely. And
right.
Louise, as always, thank you so much for this opportunity and looking forward to speaking and collaborating with all of you. Please reach out to me.
Yes,
Our
will do.
website will be in the very post today, too, as well. So
Yep.
reach out to us there, too. And we'd love to hear from you. You guys have a great day. Make it your day on this Super Saturday.
Thank you. Take care. Bye.